Good afternoon, friends. Thanks for joining us today on Fight for Life Radio. I'm Deborah, here with Kelly, ambassadors on behalf of the babies, here to share insights and real-life stories in the fight for the unborn. Kelly is going to give you guys the weekly stat update, and then we have a special guest in-house, Sam Peters. He is running for Congress, so after she's done bringing you the update, we'll dive in with him.
Awesome. We're excited today. Okay, so the weekly update from August 18th through August 24th of this year, the supporters of First Choice Pregnancy Services helped to provide 79 free pregnancy tests and 48 free ultrasounds to the women of the Las Vegas community. Many of these women are abortion bound, and some are even under the impression they've walked into an abortion clinic when they come to our doors. Thank you for helping save babies from death through abortion and for speaking up for the voiceless, as Proverbs 31 says we ought to. If you're listening while we're live and have questions you would like to ask us, please call into the show at 702-650-5588 to have our station manager, Alyssa or Sunny, put you on the air. We would love to hear from you.
Yes, so we have, as I said at the top, we have Sam Peters with us. He is running for Congress in Nevada, the Congressional District 4. Welcome to our show, Sam. Thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me. I appreciate it so much.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and your current political adventure.
Well, the political adventure, it's a good one. I'm running for Congress in District 4, which is North Las Vegas, northwest of Las Vegas, and then it stretches into the middle of the state, covers 6 other counties. It's about the size of Louisiana, the district I'm running for. So yeah, it's very big, but it's a worthy cause. So I spent 20 years in the military. I was a law enforcement canine handler for 10 years, and I commissioned. I led people in Iraq, Afghanistan, and when I retired in 2013, my wife and I moved here a few years later. In 2015, we opened an insurance agency here in Las Vegas, and we've grown that. We grew that business. And in 2019, just realizing the direction of our country was not where it was supposed to be going. So we jumped in after lots of prayer and discussion amongst ourselves. We decided to go all in and run for Congress in 2020. Came up just a little bit short in a primary, 8-way primary in 2020, but the problems that led us to get into this race to begin with didn't go away. In fact, they got much worse. So we decided that we'd give it another shot. We won the primary this time in June, so I am the Republican nominee to face off against Stephen Horsford on the November ballot, and it's things are going good.
Wow. Yeah, I was like, why? I mean, it's such a noble thing to get involved, but man, it is really, it's a rough thing to jump into these days because it opens you up to so much stuff in your family. You have some kids, right?
I do. I have 3 beautiful children, 24, 8, and 4. Yes, so
span there.
It is a span. My 8-year-old was, as we talked yesterday, you gave me a tour of your facility yesterday, which we'll talk about in a little bit, I hope. But it was just incredible. My son was born premature. He was 3 pounds 13 ounces when he was born. So to hold your model of a 26-year-old baby that was about that size, or a model of it, 26 weeks, right? It was just it brought back some memories. So it was, and you mentioned the jumping in and the shots we take as politicians. What you guys do is just absolutely incredible. It was so moving to walk through your facility and see what you guys are doing, and to see some of the stats, the babies that you're saving across this state and this city is just, God bless you.
Well, we're glad you got to take a tour, and I think it's so important because our politicians and our elected officials, a lot of people don't really realize they are, and you're the great example of this, the lay people that do take their turn and do their service and run and try to get up there and make a difference and make an impact and bring legislation to your district and our state.
Right.
And what do you see? Do you have things in mind that you see introducing to try to get laws passed?
Yeah, so Roe v. Wade was just overturned, which is a huge win for the cause. Nevada's laws already on the books. It's decided by the people here in Nevada. Most people don't realize that. It's 24 weeks, and then there's exceptions after that. I'd like to see some things change that. And on my website, my position on this particular topic has been there for for 3 years, and I'm a supporter of the Pain Capable Child Protection Act. There's 2 other bills. The bill that doesn't allow forced medical profession to be forced to provide abortions if it's against their backgrounds. So it's things like that we need to introduce. I had a conversation this morning with somebody, and I was telling them about the tour and what we saw yesterday, and they said something to me that was telling, and they said, the politicians that are fighting so aggressively to do these things, to have abortions at the very end of a pregnancy, and even some bills like in California now they're talking about bills after birth. It's just absolutely criminal, and to allow it's criminal and it's evil to go that direction. And again, so the late term abortion type stuff is absolutely got to be off the table. And again, why can't we, as we talk the pro-choice movement, the people who are pro-choice, why can't choice be going to first choice, or why can't choice be adoption or something to that effect? It doesn't always have to be.
You're singing
Kelly-
my song.
The
You're
word
singing
choice.
my song.
Kelly
So-
has a favorite line on choice. Kel, what is it?
Pro-choice is no choice. I did make that choice when I was a young girl, and unfortunately I did not make an informed decision. I have to stand up and take responsibility for what I did. I was basically 18. It was my 19th birthday, and 3 days later I found out I was pregnant. But the university immediately handed me a paper, and I went where it told me. I was a good girl. I ended up at Planned Parenthood. I said, okay, no, I don't want to be pregnant. No options were ever discussed. They've taken the choice out of it. They've made it a streamlined position that they just file people through, and it's happening. I had a university girl the other day come in with a slip of paper and handed it to me. She was supposed to be somewhere else. We're 2 doors down from that horrible somewhere else. And when I explained to her, luckily she ended up here and told her my story and told her the whole thing, she was like, oh, because she still didn't even know what she was getting in line for.
Yeah.
She just knew, oops, I'm a college student and I don't want to be pregnant. And the sad part is that, colleges don't want you pregnant, employers don't want you pregnant, a lot of boyfriends and men don't want you pregnant because it's a, inconvenience, and it's frustrating because women are left holding the bag and choice has been taken out of it.
Right.
Yeah, I was reading an article yesterday by Live Action. I don't know if you're familiar with them, Lila Rose. And they were just, really comparing the pro-life pregnancy center movement to the abortion clinic, and just showing the comparison in all the choices that pregnancy centers offer you versus the one choice that the abortion clinic offers you. They're seeking to give you referrals and resources if you're seeking to keep that baby. They're seeking to give you one choice.
They're truly cutting off your choice.
Yeah.
They're literally no choice.
And it's like, if you want ultrasound, we had somebody in just recently that had asked to see their ultrasound at the abortion clinic, and they told them, nope, sorry, you can't see it. They charge you, I think it's $80 for the ultrasound, but if you get the abortion, they'll deduct it from there. So even to make it financially feasible for some people to make an educated choice, there is no choice but the one choice they have for you there.
Yeah, and you may not be aware, you may be aware, there's a great law around that in Texas, where they have to, before they can go down that road, they have to have an ultrasound, and they have to actually look at the ultrasound.
And what's wrong with that?
Not a thing. Not a thing.
I don't understand.
Look, I was in the room with both my younger kids' ultrasounds, and it's just when you see the heartbeat, it's phenomenal. It's just phenomenal. In fact, a quick story: when I was in my son wasn't supposed to be in the ultrasound room, but we were, and my wife was getting the ultrasound when she was pregnant with my daughter.
Was this your oldest son?
My son had an 8-year-old, and he saw it on the screen. He saw the fetus on the screen. He saw Callie on the screen, and I said, "What is that, buddy?" And he said, "That's my sister." And it was like 8, 9, 10 weeks, something like that.
Yeah. Small baby.
Yeah, we didn't know yet. We had no idea. And he said, "That's my sister." And I said, "Who is it now?" And I said, "Well, what's her name then?" He said, "Callie." And that's
he named her.
And that's what we named her.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was
That
very,
was a cool
very fun.
story.
Yeah.
One of the frustrating things for us is that so many women don't realize the high rates of miscarriage, and abortion's over here. We get it. You know how we feel about it. We feel it's wrong, but it's also wrong to do surgeries and procedures on women that don't need them. And women are literally paying money and putting themselves in harm's way physically, financially, and emotionally when 20 to 25% of the time they're going to naturally miscarry anyway. And that's, you know, and they get all up in arms when we say come down and get the ultrasound and, you know, feminism, this isn't right. It's like, no, it's not right not to give people choices.
It was interesting in the article that I was reading, I think it was last night, it had a video that was produced by an abortion clinic in it. And it was giving you the two options. You could either have abortion by a pill or a soft abortion. And I'm like, what is a soft abortion? I've never heard of a soft abortion. So in this video, it's showing like, oh, that it's nothing more than cleaning out like a menstruation. And it was so crazy to watch this video. Like, it was like a 3-minute video, but the abortion pill, as it explained that, it said this is good for 5 to 9 weeks. And it shows like the cervix and the uterus, and just like this little bead rolling around, and it just like helps bring your period, is what it says. And so I'm like, wow, they're taking obviously advantage of young girls who don't know, are naive. And then the soft abortion is actually a suction abortion.
Oh my goodness.
And it says there's no risk of scarring and this and that. And it was a new bottom of an abortion
Lies
commercial that I've
yeah.
ever seen. You know, we moved away from talking about, people don't, for the most part, debate anymore with you whether or not it's a human or it's a person, or they don't really say, oh, it's a clump of cells anymore. They've kind of moved away from that. It's just, it's at my choice. But
My
this
body.
one was moving it away from even clump of cells to, it's just bringing your period. And so that was a little bit, I guess I shouldn't be shocked
No,
anymore at what
you
I see, but it was
should.
a little shocking to see the new marketing strategies they have to pull in the young
Yeah,
vulnerable
and the
girls.
misinformation that's out there. These girls are so unaware of their own fertility, and we're trying to speak to them. You know, we get 27, 29, 31-year-olds going, I'm just not ready, it's not time, they don't have children. When will be the time? They are mistakenly, society has led them believe that they can get pregnant anytime they want up until 40, and that it's going to happen for them like that. And, you know, it can be less than 19% once you hit 31 years old. So we try to teach these girls about their fertility. They need to protect themselves now. Multiple abortions can affect your fertility. You know, if we were doing this to puppies, or mama dogs, what if the whole society, the whole world, their hair would be on fire? They'd be insane. But because it's human beings and a woman gets to say it's my choice, it's like a man saying, I'm going to rape you now. It's my body. It's my choice. Who cares if it's going to cause harm? It just doesn't make any sense.
It does not. It doesn't make any sense. And, you know, the marketing piece that you just talked about, you know, it takes me back to my business owner mindset. And I'm just, you know, putting a business model around this scenario is just, it's incredible. The morality of it is just lost. And it's, you know, when our country goes down this road, if it goes down this road in a big way that the liberals would like it to go, we're going to be in some big trouble. So
I agree with you.
We're
And
just
it-
really going to have to pray that God shows some mercy to us this election in the fall, and that some of those who stand for godliness and righteousness and on the right side of these issues are able to succeed in their adventures, such as yours.
Absolutely. And to
Um,
teach Republicans how to talk about abortion. It's kind of the, you know, ugly elephant in the room. You're out to dinner or you're with people and they ask me what I do, and it's like, oh boy, I
Right.
want to get into this over appetizers. But I've been more bold. I've been able to do that. God's put it on my
Good.
heart to explain what I do and why I do it. And for me, it's easy because I can lead with, I did it.
right.
So now you have to listen to me. It's a real story. It's not my opinion.
And I'm glad to hear you say that. And it's, you know, we do need coaching and how to talk about this, and because it's an inflammatory discussion depending on who you're talking to. There's so many varying opinions around it, and it's, you know, the Democrats right now are telling me that, or telling the media that, you know, Sam Peters is he wants to ban all abortions, and he wants to take women's rights to health care, and that's not I've never said any of that.
of
That's
course.
not the position I've taken. Clearly we want less abortion. We want the choices of, you know, adoption, carrying to term, keeping your child, all of these things. And if you know, giving the choices leads them to keeping their babies, as 81% of your
Good
clients
memory.
do.
Mhm.
It's just, again, going back to the tour yesterday, it was so moving. 38,000 saved lives in 10 years, 14 years, something like
We're
that.
on 17 years right
17
now. We're
years,
getting ready to
but-
hit 40,000.
But
Yeah.
38,000, I think the number was.
Mhm. It was
One out of every 85 people around you in Clark County,
Nevada.
in Nevada. One out of 85 people. I mean, I see
He's doing the math.
I see 85 people, 100 times a
A
day.
day, right.
And one out of every 85 of them is a
Okay.
saved baby. That's just incredible. So thank you for
Something
helping
that's
us.
such a mystery
Yeah.
to me that I want to throw out there too, because and we see this when the women come in. Why adoption has been stigmatized? I mean, where do adopted babies? It's a beautiful thing when your neighbors and your friends and people who can't have children adopt a baby. It's beautiful. It's celebrated. Let's do everything.
Yeah.
But when a woman gives up her baby, they'll say to us, "Oh my gosh, no, that's so cruel. People would judge me. I will never do that." Where do you think these babies come from? They're not grown on farms. We need women to stand up and boldly and proudly say, "I'm not ready, and I really do believe that, but I'm going to do the best thing and give my baby up for adoption." And
Yeah.
they come into the center and they look at us like our hair's on fire. "Oh, I would never be able to give my baby up. That would be cruel. I'm just going to have an abortion." And I don't know where in society where we've got to start celebrating moms who made the choice.
Yeah.
Because I wasn't given that choice, and I wish I had been given that choice.
Sure. Adoption is interesting. You bring that up. My wife and I were talking about the tour again last night, and I was telling her how moving it was, and she brought it up about the adoption and the adoption process in the United States, and why is it easier to get a child from China versus the United States, and why is it so difficult? And those are things that certainly we can work on at the state, local, and
Because
federal
women aren't
levels.
choosing it. They're led to believe by society that they're
Sure.
monsters if they give
Sure.
their baby up, but they're not monsters if they kill it.
Yeah, and there's processes and things inside the process of,
Mhm.
of adoptions that need to be streamlined and need to be worked out to make it an easier process. Clearly, we want it to be safe. Clearly, we want it to be the best for
Mhm.
all involved. But again, in my wife's point of why is it so much easier to get a foreign baby than it is to take care of one of our own?
Well, I was listening to something the other day, and the conversation was being had that over 1 million abortions take place in the U.S. every year, and every year there's a list with over 1 million people waiting to adopt.
You can wait 5 to
So-
7 years for an adopted baby.
So this whole thing, people like to say of, I saw somebody commented on our social media the other day that people shouldn't be forced to have unwanted babies. I'm like, there's no such thing as an unwanted baby. Because
It's
while
true,
you're
yeah.
murdering 1 million, there's over, I think it was 1.3 million families on a waiting list for a baby.
I didn't know that.
I
Yeah.
recently went to a retreat for post-abortive women, and mine was quite a long time in the past. But one of the things that struck me, all the counselors there was even men there that were standing up and taking responsibility for. I was part of 4 women, giving babies up for abortion, and it's just so striking because you realize many of these women who did it multiple times, they end up childless through circumstance, through something happening with their uterus, literally something going wrong and them needing hysterectomies, but then aging out, not being aware of their fertility, never meeting Mr. Right, never getting married. And that was a shocking thing to me. I was like, gosh, so many women end up, having abortion, and then they have miscarriage, and then the fertility window closes and they don't end up with children. So it's just a backwards equation as far as all the facts out there on the the progressive side. It really is lies and not even half truths, not even truth at all to what they're saying.
Yeah, and I quite frankly, I think at this point it's become, like we talked about a moment ago, it's become a business model, and there's unfortunately millions of dollars being made in it as an industry, and it's just unfortunate circumstance.
Well, I think too, as I have kind of looked over this course of my lifetime, I was telling you yesterday, my family got involved when I was 5 years old. The counseling room that I used to sit in when I was 18, 19, 20 years old before I moved to Las Vegas is a completely different counseling room than what the girls are sitting in at First Choice right now.
Mm-hmm.
Because we now have a generation of people that have been born with abortion being legalized and normalized.
Mhm.
And so to even have a conversation with them to entertain adoption is such a foreign thing to them, because it's like, well, why would I do that? Like, it's just easier to just go have an abortion. Nobody has to know. You know.
And their moms did it, and their moms want them to do
Yeah.
it. They did it, I did it, and I'm fine. And you can tell they're not fine. They're clearly angry and have pent-up issues about it.
And then you have the whole issue of adoption agencies, personal opinion, have done a horrible job of marketing and really explaining to people how adoption works. I was talking to a guy in Florida a few weeks ago, and he was telling me that he thought it was like the foster system. He had no idea how empowering adoption was, that you could choose the family, that you could choose if you were going to have visitations with that child. He was like, really? I just thought that you gave the baby up for adoption to the state and they picked the family. And so I think that until we become a culture that really celebrates life more, it's going to be really hard to turn it back that way. I mean, now with abortion being overturned in Roe versus Wade, it's a starting point.
Back to states' rights, though, individual states,
It
where
is.
it's embedded in
It
the
is.
Constitution. I think people don't understand that. I got a few phone calls of people going, is it going to be legal in Nevada? And it's like, well, this current situation doesn't change it here for us.
And on the political side, this adventure that I'm on, it's the day after that decision was leaked, the Democrats started ramping up on how their rhetoric was going to go, and since certainly the primary, within an hour of me winning the primary and being called the winner, my opponent and the DCCC put out a talking paper on their website that Sam's he wants to ban abortions and take away women's rights and all of these other things. So they're coming after it. They're making it a big issue in this November election.
They're seeking to advance their political careers on the backs of dead babies.
Well said.
Yeah. I like to throw something out there, and it's controversial, but I'm going to start saying it more. Our society isn't going to change until men become responsible for where they put their sperm. If you
I'm sorry, was that accountability? You talking about accountability on this show?
I'm just saying,
Yes, you're right.
Women are left holding the bag.
Yep.
So they really are the victims in all of this, having abortions. They're not the heroes. They're not the, they don't feel good about it afterwards, even though it was their right, their body they chose. They still feel horrible about it because men don't take responsibility.
Sam, as we get close to wrapping up here, how can people find out more about you, your social media, website?
I do. My website is sampeters4congress.com, sampeters4congress.com. On Facebook, it's at Sam Peters Nevada. On Instagram, it's also, I think, Sam Peters 702.
Okay. We'll tag you in this stuff.
There you go.
We had a abortion walk-in, Spanish abortion walk-in this week that had 2 adult children. Found out she was pregnant from a one-night stand, had no idea who the father of the baby was, and she came in thinking that abortion was nothing more than a simple procedure like a pap smear. So after her visit there at First Choice and her encounter with the kind and caring ladies of our office, she left an exit survey comment saying that due to her experience with us and the education, she was changing her mind on how she felt about abortion and choosing life. Then we had 2 girls back this week. One of them was in 7 years ago as an abortion walk-in. She came back to confirm her current pregnancy and has a 7-year-old daughter that she did not end up aborting. And so it was great to see her back.
To come full circle.
Amen.
And to see that she had a baby. On the flip side, we had another one that had been in 4 years ago. She told us that she did end up aborting that baby, but she had a good conversation in the office, planted some seeds. She is now a Christian, and she's pregnant and married, and so it was good to see that even in those circumstances, that people make those wrong choices, that God can use their choices as a way and a tool to bring them to Him. So.
And if any of you out there have experienced this and gone through it, God does have a plan for you. And truly, you can turn something that you did in shame years ago into information and a priceless gift of sharing your experience with women. And if you're interested at all, please contact us and come down for a tour like Sam did.
Those who are post-abortive are some of the most powerful voices for the unborn of any of the voices out there. Sam, thank you for coming in today and joining us. We'll try and get you back in here again, maybe before you
Thanks for
win
having
this
me.
thing.
Thanks for having me so much.
Thanks for coming down. Thank you all for tuning in today. Join us again here next Thursday on the Fight for Life at 12:30. Have a great weekend and God bless you all.
That's true.
A half hour always goes so fast.
It does, you know what?
Sure does.
Last time I did it, I used to do it with Jess a lot, but it was 15 minutes, and that was like a blink. But
And when they told us you should do a half hour, we're
Right.
like, no.
But you know what? We can talk.
Yeah.
We can talk. We
Is
can
there
talk.
anybody on here? Good job, ladies. Great to
Thanks
see
for watching,
Sam.
everybody. Congratulations.
Oh, there's
Best
Jessica.
of luck, I
Thank
should
you.
say.
Do you have
Thank you.
anything you want to say to the Facebook audience, Sam?
Thanks for tuning in. Support life, and we'll win this thing.
We will. We need some more people that are willing to take the dive like Sam. He has a lot on the line.
Being pro-life is not a bad thing. It's not a 4-letter word. at
No,
all,
especially
at all.
it's especially not a bad thing when you stand before Jesus, the
Amen.
maker and giver of life. So
Yes.
you can stand proud and tall
right.
when you meet your maker with having that position.
Damn right.
So I don't see any other Is there any other comments on here? I don't think so. We will. Oh, Pastor Andy's on here. We will post this online and see you next week. God bless you guys.
Bye.